With the USS Gerald R. one of the world's largest aircraft carriers, along with submarines and amphibious assault ships now stationed near Caribbean waters, we need to ask, what does this military buildup really mean for the Caribbean and its people? For us in the Caribbean, and for millions across the diaspora, this isn't just another global news story. This is our backyard, our home. And when superpowers start moving warships into Caribbean waters, we can't help but ask, what's really going on? In this video, we'll break down the deeper geopolitical motives, the impact on Caribbean nations and the diaspora, and the economic ripple effects that could shape the region's future. Stick around to understand how this military presence is more than just a security mission. It's a high-stakes game for power and influence. Why is the US really in the Caribbean? The US government says its military presence in the Caribbean is focused on targeting drug cartels smuggling cocaine from South America. While that's part of the story, there's more to it than just fighting drug trafficking. Analysts point to a few bigger factors behind the deployment. First, there's tension with Venezuela. The US has been at odds with the Venezuelan government for years, and the warships near Venezuela's waters send a clear message. We're watching. Warships positioned near Venezuelan waters serve as both a deterrent and a source of pressure. Next, the Caribbean is becoming an important spot in the global competition for influence. China, Russia, and even Iran have been increasing their presence here through trade, loans, and diplomacy. The US showing up with warships is a way of reminding everyone who still holds the most power in the Western Hemisphere. Finally, there's the political angle. A show of military strength, especially in the fight against drugs, is a clear message back home. It's all about telling voters that the US is taking action to keep the country safe. So while the official reason is to combat drug trafficking, there's also a lot about power, influence, and strategic positioning going on here. What it means for Caribbean nations. For Caribbean governments, the arrival of US warships in the region is a complicated issue. On the positive side, the increased US patrols could help tackle problems like drug trafficking, human smuggling, and maritime crime. Some leaders see it as a helpful security measure, providing additional support in keeping the waters safe. However, there's also concern. Large US warships often enter Caribbean waters without prior coordination with local governments, which raises questions about sovereignty. Who controls the region? Caribbean nations or Washington? Tourism is another issue. The sight of military ships in the normally peaceful waters can make travelers uneasy. Even rumors of instability can disrupt flight bookings, cruises, and tourism plans. On the diplomatic front, small island nations find themselves walking a tightrope. While they rely on US aid and tourism, many are also growing closer to countries like China and Venezuela. Aligning too closely with one side could have economic or political consequences. So while some welcome the US presence as protection, others quietly worry it could pull the Caribbean into someone else's fight. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is all we need. Thank you. What it means for the Caribbean diaspora. For the millions of Caribbean people living abroad, this situation hits close to home. For most of us, the Caribbean isn't just a place where we're from. It's where our hearts remain. We invest in the region, visit family, and many of us dream of retiring there one day. So when global powers start positioning military forces in our backyard, we pay attention. While there's concern about the implications, there's also an opportunity. This is a chance for the Caribbean's voice to be heard. not just in reaction to the situation, but in shaping how it's understood globally. Too often, global media talk about the Caribbean, not with the Caribbean. Platforms like CaribFocus allow us to share our perspective, backed by facts, context, and the pride of our people. It's also an opportunity for the diaspora to get more involved politically, socially, and economically. We can support regional development, advocate for peace, and stay vigilant about how these global moves affect trade, tourism, and investment in the Caribbean. The economic and business impact. Beyond the political implications, there's a significant financial angle to consider. If the US military presence in the Caribbean grows, it could disrupt key economic activities like shipping, imports, and tourism, three crucial pillars of the region's economy. However, with crisis comes opportunity. Caribbean businesses and entrepreneurs in the diaspora have a chance to demonstrate that the region is stable, resilient, and open for business. By leveraging media, philanthropy, and trade, we can redefine how the Caribbean is perceived, not as a pawn in global power struggles, but as a region driven by innovation and independence. What to watch going forward? As this situation develops, there are a few key things to keep an eye on. First, watch which Caribbean islands host US ships for friendly calls. These visits often signal deeper military partnerships and cooperation. Next, pay attention to how Caricom leaders respond, whether they push for dialogue or quietly align with Washington. Finally, keep an eye on Venezuela's moves. The growing tension between the US and Venezuela could quickly spill into Caribbean waters, and one wrong move could change everything. These early signs point to a shifting power dynamic that's likely to affect every Caribbean nation in some way. The bigger picture. To sum it all up, the US warships in the Caribbean are officially here to address drug trafficking and security concerns. But underneath that, it's really about maintaining strategic dominance and ensuring that other global powers don't expand their influence in the region. For the Caribbean, this is a reminder that our region is still seen as valuable and powerful, though often through the lens of others. That's why we must tell our own story. Because if we don't, others will, and their version might not reflect our truth. For the Caribbean and its diaspora, this moment calls for awareness, unity, and pride. We need to stay informed, support responsible leadership, and continue to uplift our islands economically, culturally, and spiritually. No matter who sails into our waters, the Caribbean spirit remains unshakable. We've overcome slavery, colonialism, hurricanes, and hardship, always rising. This moment too will be navigated with wisdom and strength. The Caribbean's future is in our hands. While global powers may shift the tides, our resilience, unity, and pride will guide us forward. The challenges are real, but so is our strength. Together, we will navigate these waters and build a brighter tomorrow for our region and its people. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the US military presence in the Caribbean? Do you see it as a necessary step for security? Or are there deeper implications that could impact the region's sovereignty and economy? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a conversation about the future of the Caribbean and its role in global geopolitics. Also, check out our video about the Caribbean's 10 biggest economies. If you find this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. This is Caribbean Focus. See you in the next video.